So we were sort of alluding to the fact that maybe Four Zoomers would try for someone that could be a little bit more fight oriented in the early stages, but Four Zoomers almost kind of going in the opposite direction, picking up that Naga who's going to play similarly in terms of timing to the TB that they had in game.
And again, the Naga, both teams, they know about the Morphling. They've got to have it in the back of their minds whether or not they want to play against it, whether or not they can allow it. And I think after the Storm Spirit, you make the call to put the pressure elsewhere in the draft, where this Naga Siren basically automatically wins their lane versus the Slardar. And Slardar, not one of those offlaners that has that versatility. You're not able to move move him around nearly as much. At the same time, one of the best heroes versus the Snapfire. The song is always going to be in range of those kisses if they do eventually start to rain down. The only thing he does need to be careful of is you can actually pull the Naga if he does try to go for that song TP. If the Storm Spirit plays it just right, you will be able to break it. You can just zip. You're going to get hit by the song on the tail end of it if you don't want to use all of your mana, but you should be able to get that TP break if it does come down to the wire. And now, just banning out a bunch of Tomato heroes. This is the bright side for Zoomer's lineup, though. You get to auto win your safe lane. You get to have this matchup where now the Snapfire is a little bit scared. They don't have a fantastic illusion killer either on the Undying side. And you get to slam it and then ban out pretty much all of the S heroes versus your hero. So now, if you're Undying, do you want to rely on this Tomato Sven again? Last time we saw him play up versus the Naga Siren, it didn't go very well. That's when Sammy Boy went for the Orchid BKB build that really caught them off guard, where they thought that they would be able to kill him in their BKBs. They popped their BKBs first. Sammy Boy dodges out the stun with that mirror image and then kites you out for pretty much the remainder of your BKB and then mops you up after the fact. That's what Undying, they're probably a little bit worried about. They don't want that to happen again. And they do have last pick, but last pick almost working against them in this situation where it feels like one more phase ago, they would have been able to get a hero that they would have preferred for Tomato. So it's a little bit, feels bad, man. But now you are able to ban out the Ember Spirit and the Invoker. So now Gunnar, he's going to have to rely on another hero. I'd love to see them sort of switch things around and maybe see him go for the Mars, because we see Mars versus Storm Spirit be kind of a sick lane. But I feel like now they do need a Gunner hero. They need something that's going to be stable, that's going to be able to lane versus this Storm pretty effectively, and just, again, delay that Orchid timing. If Bryle has a bad game, we've seen Undying struggle whenever he starts to struggle particularly, so that could be a weakness for them to exploit.
Especially if your Storm gets off to a slow start, Tomato tends to play heroes that need a little bit more time to farm up, so then all of a sudden you're looking at Saberlight as someone who's going to need that Blink Dagger up at 10, 11 minutes to sort of be the one making plays. So Bryle is going to be relied upon pretty heavily. You don't want the Slaughter being literally your only sort of reliable initiation, but we'll see how that lane plays out. Four Zoomers go in with the DK as that fifth pick. So, I mean, this is a pretty durable sort of front line they've got here. Naga, Mars, and DK are not exactly going to present you with any sort of weak link to hit up, at least among those core heroes. So that is something Undying you're going to have to be at least a little bit concerned with, trying to break through those heroes, but they still need their carry here. They still need that Tomato hero. That's going to be maybe the person doing the sort of heavy lifting for them, but I'm not really sure what they want to run. As you mentioned, the Sven was maybe not quite what they wanted it to be the last time they went up against this matchup, so they may be a little bit hesitant to sort of lean into that one again, but they're straight up out of time. They've got to go now. There we go.
Okay.
Ooh.
Complete different direction, and one that is a little bit scary. Even though you do have this PL, and they needed to pick a physical damage core, right? Otherwise, this Saberlight Slardar would feel more or less utterly wasted, because you do have that anti-armor coming in from both the Shredder and the Corrosive Haze. But this is definitely a gamble, one that they might be able to turn in their favor, just because they don't really have fantastic lockdown on the Four Zoomer side. While they will have that Dragon Tail, that Blink Dagger, his focus really should be elsewhere. But again, this is going to be a slow burning PL. This is going to be a PL that, while you are able to hit up versus those Naga illusions, I don't know. Again, you maybe look at the Sven, you maybe look at trying to meet their damage, trying to get that burst out, and that would have been a hero that would have felt pretty nice. Maybe versus the DK, though, they decide to run something a little bit harder carry, not wanting to get sort of crushed in their base. But at the same time, DK is one of those heroes that used to be picked versus PL, where you get that level 2 dragon form, you get a Maelstrom, you get a BKB, and suddenly Tomato doesn't really want to show up to these fights. He's going to need to wait for those later item timings. And that's where I'm really curious to see where Sammy Boy decides to take his build, whether or not we'll see the Orchid, because the Orchid feels really good this game. Feels like there's a hero that's always going to want to be silenced. If he's able to get on top of Moon or Bryle, their game is more or less just over at that point. Fortunately for them, there isn't really that guaranteed setup. You do have sort of the song into Spear. We'll have to see if they could time it out right. Song into Terrorize might be a little bit easier, but again, if you miss any of those abilities, it's just going to feel absolutely terrible. And that's where they do need to be careful on the 4-Zoomer side. If they use their ultimates, nothing comes of it, then Tomato could very easily TP to your lane, start getting the chaotic fight, and then the cleanup crew might show up. So 4-Zoomers, they've got to be on point with their spell usage, but I think they have a much more robust lineup than the Undying side this time.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit concerned. They've got a lot of sort of moving parts, as you were sort of alluding to, with those combos. If they land them, they're going to look great. If they don't land them, you suddenly just lose sort of any opportunity to force those engagements in your favor. So we have seen teams sort of go for these strategies before to mix results, but you would assume if there's a team in the field right now who you could rely upon to have the right sort of teamfight execution to make it happen, 4-Zoomers would probably be one of those squads. And with that amount of sort of threat in terms of lockdown and teamfight power, Undying are going to have to be very careful. One sort of misplay from them, and as we said, Bryle could get in trouble. You could lose Moon Meander fairly quickly there as well, and once that sort of starts getting taken away, then overall it feels like things will sort of fall apart for them. But at the end of the day, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll see what Bryle can do here. Really, talking about that in the draft as well, the fact that he was going to be really the most important part of Undying's lineup for the first 15 to 20 minutes. He has to play well in this middle lane. Maybe not necessarily just win it outright, but at least sort of draw and put himself in a position where he can be that guy for Undying until the Phantom Lance is ready to go.
And really, that's why they doubled down, right? You see this lockdown, you pick the Storm Spirit into all of these heroes, while the DK does shore up that issue that, again, 4-Zoomers are pretty quick to make. They understand what they're lacking in their lineup. They shore up their pushing power, they shore up their lockdown. But that's where this PL, this is either a genius pick, this is something different that they haven't run before. So again, sort of a trial ground, right? This is where the teams, they're going to see if, oh guys, we got away with this versus 4-Zoomers. Maybe we can rely upon this again. We already picked the Sven versus a very similar lineup, and we saw it didn't go so well. So this could be a little bit of a trial run for the Tomato PL, and especially in these competitive games where this is the best practice you're going to get before those TI qualities. So trying something different, especially when you're one game up, I wholeheartedly believe this is the right way to go.
This is really your best opportunity, and to some extent people might think, well, professional matches maybe aren't the time to try these strats, but it's actually the exact opposite. This is a real-time scenario. This isn't a scrim. It's not sort of a theoretical sort of scenario. They get to play this one out against one of the strongest opponents in their region, one of their biggest rivals, and why not? I'm not going to say that this doesn't necessarily count for anything. There's still obviously money and sort of bragging rights on the line, but as you mentioned, up 1-0 in this series, now is the time to try and experiment with it, and if it works out, then as you were saying as well, they're going to look like geniuses for taking this PL pick. So just looking to prove whether or not this sort of plays out in their favor, whether this is something they could potentially rely upon in those TI qualifiers as well.
Yeah, it's money, pride, practice. It's everything you could want. And if Tomato's able to pull it off, again, they understand the weaknesses of 4-Zoomers lineup. They know what they're going to be able to get away with. And I've been watching this bottom lane, and it is very fun to watch Tomato just press the doppelganger and then run it into 2 or 3 brambles. So if this is the de facto counter versus the Dark Willow, I mean, they picked this for a very, very good reason. So you've got to believe them in this situation.
And to be honest, I don't care who he's playing. I'm never counting Tomato out entirely in any scenario. He just knows, he knows what he's doing seemingly every time. Doesn't always work out for him, but you never get the impression that Tomato is sort of at a loss for what he wants to do on any hero in any matchup. So gonna assume that he's got a plan here, and on the 4-Zoomer side, they're really not applying a lot of pressure. As you mentioned, that doppelganger is helping him sort of get clear of that bramble maze pretty significantly. Brax is still finding farm though. 10 lasses on the board for the Mars, so at least that's going well for you. And now, oh, Dubu. Without the Spirit, not going to be able to do it. Brack's a little off the mark there, so the Enchantress will be just fine, but I think that's really the only play Zoomers have. You're not really going to be able to reliably get onto Tomato, so you just have to try and pressure that support. You can maybe force Dubu out of lane, turn this into a 2v1. Maybe you can slow down the farming rate at that point, but you got to hit the spear first. Brax was a bit off the mark with it, did connect with the rebuke, but they really do need that latch to go any further in.
And that's why you started to see Ocean almost solely start playing on the Enchantress, where it is very difficult for them to make these plays onto the PL. It's a big reason why they picked it. They knew the lane. They knew that 4-Zoomers couldn't really shift it around. That's a big reason why I wanted to maybe see Gunnar start playing that Mars, just because it would have felt like you have that lane versus the Storm Spear mid. You're going to be able to blow him out a little bit more. And then you could have drafted a slightly different hero to shore up that lockdown, but again, for Zoomers, this is the solution they came up with, the DK. It's not going to feel bad. It just means it's going to be that little bit slower, and that time is going to matter versus the PL and the Storm Spirit, but we'll have to see how it ends up playing out.
And to a certain extent, as you said, it's going to be slower, but this is always the benefit of the Dragon Knight. How does Bryle push him out of lane right now? Like, there's really not a whole lot you can do unless Gunnar just charges in and eats 3 or 4 static remnants to the face. You're going to assume he's going to have the regen. He's going to be able to back off, sort of maintain this pace here. He's not going to beat Bryle, but you're going to come out to just about a draw in this lane every single time. So Gunnar is really looking further down the road for his timing, but Bryle is still trying to hit him up with as much damage as possible for whatever that's worth. But again, and he's got 2 points up in the Dragon Blood. He just grabbed himself a Water Rune. Gunnar's going to be really just fine here. So don't think there's much kill potential either way. This is just going to be all about trying to farm up. And if you're Bryle, once he hits 6, maybe we see him try to make some of those rotations into the side lane as well. The DK is not exactly mobile enough to immediately respond if he does try to make that move.
And really, Bryle is such a storm spammer, man. I'm seeing him vortex the small camp so that way he can just barely edge out the last hits with the overload. And really, the only downside of having this DK is that all you can ever do is just draw the lane. You're never going to beat the Storm Spirit. He's always going to be able to go to that small camp, make the easy rotation and sort of farm. And you really aren't the best hero to sort of walk him down and run at him. Really, once you get that Blink Dagger, that's where we might see sort of that counter initiation play, and that's where 4-Zoomers definitely need to toe the line, where how reactive do we want to play this, how aggressive do we want to be on the enemy side of the map, because if they do play into the hands of Undying a little bit too much and they do get punished for it, they have to win so many more team fights on the 4-Zoomer side, where if Undying are able to win those small battles, it's just going to lead to more and more farm, and that's where the snowball effect definitely needs to be something they have to worry about coming into that mid game. But it looks like Husky's made a rotation on the mid. Level 2 Nature's Grasp.
Bryle TP'd in. They're going to try to hit him up with whatever lockdown they have, but it's not enough. Meanwhile, Dubu winning a bit of a 1v1 in the jungle there. He's able to take down Ocean, so it's first blood to Undying. That rotation mid really doesn't pay out, and Moon, I mean, he's here, but this rotation was spotted by the ward the whole way through, so I really doubt that Gunnar gets caught out here, but oh,
he's here for the card.
Gunnar, yeah. Okay, he's going in. They've got down that Vortex. Moonmander needs the cookie stun. They will be able to land it, but Husky and Ocean are here. They're going to be able to provide that backup, and now this one's going to break apart, and yeah, First Crown will lock him in, and Gunnar should be able to finish off the kill. Nope, Ocean snags it from him, but either way, 4-Zoomers will get that kill, and that's 6 heroes in the middle lane at the 6-minute mark, so that is quite a lot for both teams to commit, but, I mean, Gunnar was in trouble. If they didn't have that support, he very easily could have been taken down there. So they felt the necessity of the situation. They bring the reinforcements in, and Gunnar not only survives, but they're able to find a kill in exchange.
And Bryle gets 2 bounty runes. He got a regen rune as well. He's very happy on the Storm Spirit. And you were able to keep your mid tower while that 5-minute cart just spawned up. And we might see Gunnar try to keep this as live as long as he can, but yeah, it's a little bit hard for him to contest, and that's why we saw such a heavy rotation there, seeing if the DK was going to get slightly out of position. But having 3 levels up in the Remnant, the overload doesn't do nearly as much damage, and really, they needed to get pretty lucky there if I think Gunnar would have gone down. Having the raindrops just a little bit too tanky for them to take out at this point in the game, but with 4 levels in Remnant, this is the farm build. Bryle is going to be able to just sort of do whatever he wants. And as long as he keeps his mid tower, ooh, got a fairy trinket on top of all that, this is going to feel like a pretty easy Storm game, at least coming out of the laning stage.
Yeah, I mean, everything is really sort of going Bryle's way. He's getting the camps. He found a regen rune. He's gotten about 3 or 4 bounties at this point. He found the fairy trinket for himself. It's kind of rare that you get that many things sort of going for yourself early on. So Bryle, he's going to be feeling pretty good here. He's at the top of that net worth chart so far, and looking for damage onto the tier 1
bottom.
tower. He's not going to get that, but yeah, down in the bottom lane, they want in onto Dubu. And Brax is going to be able to get the spear this time around, and yeah, there's absolutely no one here to help out this Enchantress. Your PL just already leaving, rotating into the jungle. So Dubu, it's an unfortunate death, but it's not really going to hurt them too badly, and now Bryle rotates top. You got Sammy. Saberlight's in there with the lockdown. Bryle provides the damage, comes in with the Vortex as well, and this is the problem for 4 Zoomers. They rotate those supports away, looking for the kill down in the bottom lane that leaves the Naga Siren all by herself up top.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they don't have a lane ward placed here coming in from Husky, so that way they do see those very easy rotations. Because if you can catch wind of the Storm Spirit, he has to wait and save a lot of his mana for the actual kill. So it feels a little uncharacteristic from the 4 Zoomer side, just giving them that little more space. And while there's no shot that they're able to take Sammy Boy's tower, getting these towers rolling, this is something that 4 Zoomers need to do, and they need to do fairly consistently. Killing Dubu without using the arena as well. We might be able to see a smoke up coming in from this Mars, whether or not he wants to break into that jungle, because really the only hero that they're looking for is that Slardar. If they're able to play up on him, he's the guaranteed pick. They might feel a little bit self-conscious about themselves making the play onto the PL or the Storm Spirit pre-Blink Dagger on a Gunner, and that's where that timing really is the most important on the map for that 4 Zoomers lineup, because without that, you don't have the guaranteed disable, you don't have that spear lockdown in the arena, and that's where the cores can really shrug off that very active hero. In Bryle, okay, he's just right back top. They want to claim this tower. They want to get into Sammy Boy's jungle.
They've got a creep wave coming up behind them here, so should be able to get a little bit of damage in. Dubu can even send that creep forward to sort of help this one out. The living armor, though, is going to be deployed. So
ooh, Moon.
Not going to be easy for them. Bottom lane, yeah. Can he get out? Not even a little bit. Hit up by the spear stun. Brambles dropped onto him as well. Hold on a second. Yeah. Okay, there we go. They should be able to get this with that one final hit. Ocean will be able to bring it down. So I said not even a little bit, but maybe a little bit, but not quite enough. Moonmander's able to get himself out, or not able to get himself out. Wow. Struggling with words. Good kill for 4 Zoomers, though, but it's still coming at a cost. Tomato's going to finish off that tier 1 tower up top, and as you said, this is going to give them a lot of potential access to this north side jungle, where Sammy is just sort of trying to mind his own business.
And it does feel like you're sort of just picking up the morsels. Moon doesn't care about that death too much. He's finding his 6, his level 7 elsewhere. And while you are able to put a little bit of pressure onto that mid tower with the DK form, it does feel like Gunner popped it a little bit too early. So really all the aggression that could have come out with this cart isn't there. And that's where Brax, he has to choose his targets. He has to decide that, okay, I can't play versus the Storm Spirit or the PL. My ability is just going to be wasted. So he's sticking down here onto Moon, making his life a little bit hard, but being a little bit disconnected from Ocean. Ocean actually just went for the old 10-minute pull, trying to get a few more levels, farm up his 6 on his own, even though he had a tome coming out. And if Brax continues to get these plays, he sort of has to take what he can get, because again, the cores on the Undying side are very well equipped to dodging out that arena. There's not much that he can do up until that Gunner Blink Dagger comes out, and that's why we see even Saberlight itemizing for that Midas. They know that their timing is later on down the road. You don't even see Bryle going for that Orchid Rush. He's just simply going to get a Kai Assange, I'm assuming. And then what do? Even though you get that DK stun, your chain has to be absolutely perfect. And again, margin for error is pretty much 0 on the 4 Zoomer side. If they ever let these slippery heroes get away, if they're able to escape your stuns, your abilities, then your cooldowns are just long enough where that opening is going to be there for them to farm and ignore you. And that's exactly what the Undying side wants to do.
And Dubu, he's just been patrolling around this north side jungle, runs into Sammy there, but isn't really all that afraid of him. He's just going to sort of harass him a little bit, while middle lane, yeah, Bryle wants in. Mortimer Kisses will be there. Gunner's in some trouble, dropping low. Can they finish him off? No, but now here comes Brax in with the arena into the spear stun. The Storm, I mean, he used all of his mana going in for the kill. He's not able to get it. He will fall. Now Moon, maybe in some trouble as well. Curse Crown knocks him down. Ocean comes in with the Bedlam, looking for the last bit of damage he needs, and they will be able to find it. Saberlight, did that? I don't think that crush hit either of them, actually, so he's in some trouble now as well. The spear comes through, pins him to the tree, and he's going to die as well. That was horrible. 3 dead on the side of Undying. Their tier 1 tower will now be taken as well, and all of that really off the back of Bryle just maybe trying to do a little bit too much there with the initiation on the Gunner.
And just huge misplays because that's the only way the Storm Spirit can die. He actually dodged out the overgrowth as well. So at first it's like, oh wow, Brow, he's kind of balling out here. But very simply, Brax walks over, he gets the arena play exactly when he can. There's very few situations in which that kill should ever happen. And all of that to top it off, Gunnar finishes off his Blink Dagger as well as picking up an Invis rune. So now the pressure is going to be on. Brown needs to be a little bit more careful. If Zoomers can get another kill on the Storm Spirit, his game is going to slow down a lot harder. And even though you were able to finish up this Diffusal Blade on Tomato, I don't think you're going to want to make these initiations or really show up to these fights unless that it is that situation where you have that very simple cleanup crew sort of come in after the fact. And that's where Undying, they might struggle to make plays because, again, Saberlight, he's got a Midas. You're going to have to wait a little bit. I think he's got a Hood coming out to him, or maybe just Treads. But you're not really tanky. You're not really initiating with this Slardar. You don't have that Hood of Defiance where maybe you're sitting in front of your towers for your team. So Undying, they gotta sort of sit on their hands, hit their creeps, and if Zoomers let them, that's great. But here's the smoke up already, trying to get active with this Blink Dagger on the DK.
In their way towards that tier 1 tower top, and as you said, Zoomers, they really
They're
can't
pinging the
afford to
Slardar.
let this opposing squad farm up too much. As Saberlight getting it away. No. Gunnar blinks in, they get the stun down, the Terrorize deployed here as well, and this Slardar is not dead just yet, but he's going to get run directly into the Bramble with that Terrorize, and Ocean is able to finish off the kill. So, of all the heroes you probably could have gotten, maybe you would have liked to get onto Tomato, but Tomato was already falling back. So they go for the easier target, the one that they know they're going to be able to lock down, and they do reap the benefits there as they're able to take that Slardar out, and they might be looking for more, actually. Dubu's kind of hanging out here, and Gunnar does get eyes on him, but he's to be in range for the Dragon Tail and can't quite catch up in time. So Dubu's going to be able to sort of walk away, creating a distraction. Meanwhile, down bot, yeah, Brax wants in. He was into Spear, but does he have the damage by himself? Not really. Brile should just really leave at this point. The DK is coming in. Can Brax actually bait Brile into staying?
No.
Yes, he can.
That's crazy.
I mean, it seems obvious from our perspective. We can see the whole map, but it feels like if you're Brile, the only reason Brax should jump in on you in that situation when you're by yourself is if he had help. You should know the Mars wouldn't have the damage to get that kill on his own, so somebody's got to be coming, but Brile just sort of thought maybe Brax was a little overconfident, and now he might actually be overconfident. He's going to get hit up by the Cookie, into the Bash, into the Crush, but Spear's going to knock him back. Moon Meander still firing away, though, with the Kisses, but I don't know if this is going to be enough. He needs one more, but they won't get it, but that means that Saberlight, nope,
Nice
can't get
cover.
in. Gunnar blinks in. Nice play with a stun into the Overgrowth, and now of course, Zoomers have made a bit of a mistake. Saberlight will be taken down. Moon Meander dead as well. Brile, he TP'd in, but by the time he's actually there, his teammates are already gone. So, time for the Storm to fall back. He's going to try and take that camp, but you got to be careful. Gunnar's on the hunt.
Yeah, and if
this.
Brile goes down again... Ooh.
What?
Yeah, that felt a little bit weird. They had the Terrorize as well, so he would have been 100% dead, but sort of messes up his own initiation. But it feels like Undying are playing into the Zoomers' hand a little bit too much. They catch Duba underneath a ward too. He's going to go down as well. And you're not losing your PL. He's still farming up. He's still doing whatever he can to find his farm. He's really been unimpeded by any of these rotations. But the only reason that Brown makes that play bottom is because he knows that he can't step on Tomato's toes. He needs to find his farm elsewhere in a more dangerous spot. And he's doing his job exactly as he should. But 2-11, it feels like every single rotation that Undying have made has been unsuccessful. They've tried to get active with the Snapfire, and yeah, just gonna go down again. And it feels like there's always, every single time they make a play, there are 2 or 3 Zoomers heroes always at the sort of the foil of that. They're always around to make that same counter position. And now they're trying to set up onto Tomato. If they see the real one branching off, Brax doesn't want to chance it, but that's a 5-second TP. Oh no.
Where was he trying to go?
The outpost?
Outpost? Maybe the tier 2 bot? I don't really know, but that just took way too long. Brax is able to get in there for the Spear to cancel it, and Sammy is actually able to find the kill there too. So you give that gold over to the Naga Siren, and all of a sudden, Tomato, well, it's only his first death. He's been farming up well so far, but just feels like more and more is sort of mounting here in terms of Zoomers getting in and building up momentum as Sammy in with the ensnare. They've got Saberlight sort of trapped up for now. The song, yep, they want it. Here comes the reinforcements. Oh, this is going to go so poorly if Undying can't get themselves away, but there's the spear. And yeah, this is bad. Overgrowth comes in as well. Saberlight's already dead. Dubu will fall. Moon Meander gone too, and that's the exact sort of play that we wanted to see from that four Zoomers side, and they pull it off to perfection.
It's just textbook, right? You very simply song, you see that they're standing out a little bit too far. You have this ward that Husky was just able to place sort of after the fact, but again, that gives you that little bit more vision, so you see the Snapfire. Gunner blinks in as well. Forza's just playing 5-man Dota, but yeah, mid. They're trying to kill Gunner.
I don't think they can get this. There's the Terrorize, and yeah, this is horrible. Ryle's just got to leave. That's not leaving. That's...
Oh, no!
What?
Oh, boy.
Ryle. My god, Tomato is not happy about that one, but he's going to be okay. Turning around, getting the damage in onto Ocean. They will find that kill, but now Gunner back into the fight. They get the stun onto the Storm. They're going to throw the Spirit onto him as well. They don't have enough damage just yet, though. And Gunner is actually the one who goes down, pushes into about 3 or 4 heroes, and somehow Undying make that work. That was the strangest... Felt like Yakety Sack should have been playing in the background on that one, but they pull it off. Can't really argue with the results.
And Samuel will try to be very obnoxious here, but you see negative 17 armor. This is a massive swing, and really just sort of miscounting their damage here. And yeah, with the Invis rune.
Wait, did he sneak? He did. That sentry actually doesn't spot him.
Oh,
can he actually do it, though?
He got it.
That would have been unbelievable if Husky had pulled that off. And now Brax, he's in with the spear stun onto Ryle, but yeah, what in the world went down there? I mean, Brax...
He was pretending to be an illusion. He thought he could sneak in and go for the steal play as well. And really, it's just after this Kai Assange that the Stormspirit was able to pick up. He's playing with so much more confidence, and they solo use the arena to try and hold him down there. And I'm not sure where Gunner's TPing in now. And yeah, 2 DCs coming from both cores, but this is just a complete swing in the other direction. Tomato, the untouched hero, is now trying to make these plays on the map. And honestly, if he can catch Sammy Boy without any mana, because you don't have a Diffusal Blade on this Naga Siren, if Tomato's able to drain everything from you, this is still a pretty much uncontested PL. There isn't the damage coming out from anyone on the Zoomer side yet, unless they're able to catch him before he gets the fight started. Then they can probably still kill this PL. But up until this point, now you have an Aegis. Now the map is starting to swing in Undying's favor, and you have to be a little bit scared on Zoomer's side. You need to have a little bit of a mental reset here, because you just used your big cooldown. You just lost your Naga. This is sort of feeling pretty bad now, as the map is definitely swinging in the Undying's favor.
Yeah, it just feels like between that play we saw around the pit and then that sort of fight back in the middle lane, they're just kind of maybe buying into their own hype a little bit too much there. They felt like they had such a big advantage that maybe you can get away with an execution that's a little bit sloppy, that's not fully cohesive with your team. But, I mean, Undying were behind, sure, but as you said, Tomato had been largely untouched. Their teamfight power was still there. They're still building themselves up. So it just feels like Zoomers got a little ahead of themselves, maybe got overconfident, and now sort of back-to-back teamfight losses, that net worth lead, it's still there for them, but it's going to start declining pretty rapidly unless they sort of, as you said, reset, stop the bleeding, try and get themselves back into a position of further control. But Saberlight,
oh, he's looking, and they're scared. They don't want to fight this PL yet. They know they're going to lose the fight if this does break out. And it really goes back to something, I don't remember who said it specifically, but Undying side needs to win so many less team fights. Zoomers need to keep fighting, they need to constantly get these kills, and they need to be successful to get those objectives. Whereas Undying, if they can take the blows, if they can deal with it, it really just takes 2 or 3 team fights for this PL to become an absolute monster, for it to be something they can no longer deal with. And okay, this is a little bit of a freebie coming in from Dubu, sort of a gift to the Zoomer side. They're making them work for it, though.
They're not going to get it at all.
Oh, they're scared.
Wow.
Again,
that's
this
just
is a mental play.
Man. They okay.
They
are
are
to turn
5
this into
heroes.
more,
Yeah,
though.
they're still coming in here, but
they've caught up Moon Meander, so the patience may actually pay off for them. As Moon is going to get caught out, Dubu is still on the run though, but the ensnare going to root him up. So, well, I was a little sort of incredulous there that Dubu was getting away, but if you're Zoomers, that one pays off. You give up on the initial kill so that you can turn 1 pick off into 2. As they do get both of those supports, but they're not content with just that pick. They want more. Brax is going in. He's going to drop the arena down.
Oh, no.
Ryle.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy. He zipped into it. Now he's going to get hit up by Terrorize, dropping low. Dragon Tail stun out as well. He's gone. Ryle dead. Saberlight will be falling too, and that straight up should not have happened. Ryle just with the most unfortunate ball lightning play that we've sort of seen so far zips directly into the path of that spear, and, well, if he doesn't get hit by that stun, I'm not sure they win the fight, but Bryo's at least able to continue maneuvering about and shouldn't get picked off like that.
Yeah, and it would have been sick cover, right? If he gets that pull off, then maybe Saberlight's able to blink out. But yeah, sometimes you just zip into a spear and that happens. But Gunner, oh my goodness,
Gunner.
He is shredded.
Tomato, though, going to get pushed back. The Doppelganger was still there, so he's going to be able to get himself away, sending the illusions
He
in
doesn't
still
care,
as
though.
Gunner.
This is disastrous. Oh,
There we
boy.
go. Yeah, they've got to use the song at that point. Gunner was genuinely in danger of just straight up getting picked off. So Sammy's going to reset it, pops a song, TP's home, everybody's away, but got to respect that damage. Tomato comes at you fast and hard here with this PL.
And again, you got 4 kills, you played on their side of the map, you got that aggressive nature in your lineup still, but if Undying, they ever find anything, they ever decide, okay, Tomato, let's show up to this fight, let's see what you can do, he is the monster. He's level 15 Manta Diffusal, and they got Gunner before BKB.
Yeah, no BKB getting off there. Gunner at this point, well, he did pop it, but
the
he
Invis
actually
rune,
get
is this
out.
actually going to save him?
They drop the sentry, they see him, okay. So Gunner, actually that kind of goes worse than if he'd have just died initially, because now that's your BKB, that's your 9-second charge being committed,
Moon?
but over in the middle lane, yeah, Moon. Gonna get himself jumped in on Spear. Ooh, Spear gets eaten by Saberlight. I'm not really sure if that's what they wanted, but they're in it now. Sammy's in some trouble. The overgrowth though from Husky will come through. Moon Meander taken down. Brax dropping the arena as well, but doesn't really have a whole lot here, but the Terrorize from Ocean is going to be massive. Saberlight is sort of rooted up. He's going to go for the crush, just trying to create some separation, but it's still not enough. He will go down. Duba's on the run as well, while Brax is trying to chase after Bryle, but not going to be able to lock that kill down. So instead, they'll turn their attention onto the PL. He's going to be able to dodge out of that Curse Crown, but it does still leave him sort of stuck in the middle of the Bramble, but he continues to fight here. He's got the Aegis for about 30 more seconds, so really, he's going to try and keep this one going. Dubu firing away on the sort of side there with the impetus shots, but it's not going to be enough for the kill. The PL's back into the fight, but at this point, it feels like this fight has pretty much sort of fizzled out.
And that's the Orchid from Sammy Boy. You have to give it a little bit of respect coming in from Tomato. And Bryle able to dodge out a lot of those stuns. If he gets hit by anything there, I think he's just dead along with Saberlight. And that's where these BKBs are really going to be the next timing for Undying, and a timing that I don't think 4 Zoomers can allow. If they're able to sit back, farm with these BKBs really without any care in their mind, then I think the team fight is going to get a little bit too difficult for you. And you saw how effective that overgrowth is. If they're able to save it till after that Manta, if they're able to get this lockdown on 3 or 4 heroes, the fight 100% will still turn in their favor. My problem is if Undying are able to farm for that after the fact, if they're able to get these items up, then what does 4 Zoomers do? Their lineup is so reliant on getting that lockdown. And Moon, he's still dying in some pretty hard spots, but it's not the PL dying. It's not the Storm Spirit getting picked off. Every single time Moon is getting killed, it's at least, 10 seconds out from any camp that Bryle is farming. So unless they really make that jump in play, you're still getting speed underneath these cores. And the point that I still have to harken back to is if Undying win 1 or 2 more fights, the script is flipped. It's 6-23, but that's the lineup that they've drafted for themselves. That's why this PL feels a little bit more safe than the Sven. Because with the Sven, it's completely the opposite. Where 4 Zoomers, they need to win just a few fights, and then that Sven starts to fall behind. But this has that looming hero, that has that Tomato PL, where you always have to question yourself, are we going to have enough control? Are we going to have enough damage? And that's why we see, I think, 4 Zoomers sort of squirming in their chairs, thinking about what items they need to contest with this PL. As we see, it looks like the Butterfly going to be on the table for this Naga Siren. And it's definitely going to be an answer, but again, you're sitting at that low HP pool. If these heroes, any of them die, if any core of that 4 Zoomers lineup goes down, the team fight just starts to become impossible. You don't have that backup save, you don't have that arena. And I think they need to continue to get aggressive, because again, if those BKBs come out, I don't know how they take a team fight.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just that weird situation right now, right? We mentioned 6-23 is that sort of score line. They've taken all but one of those tier 2 towers, so they've got the kills, they've got the map control. It's a 6k lead, but to a certain extent, it's just a 6k lead, right? It's not feeling like that number is all that significant as Saberlight. Yeah, gonna have to do some dancing here, getting himself into the tree line.
He's gonna need to get overgrowth, I think. He ducked in a little too well.
Rax, does he have... No, he doesn't. There's no spear. He did have a Eul's, but he wasn't actually in vision range for it, so... Saberlight's able to get himself away, and now, yeah, that's a problem. Sammy's got to get himself out. Can he actually get himself away? The Storm is jumping in onto him. The song's got to come through.
Oh, And I think Moon's just dead as soon as it comes out. Oh!
5 HP. Okay.
When did he die? He
yeah,
died
hold
to
up.
the dragon scale burn on the
God.
mirror image. That's kind of funny. I mean, 14 HP, count your lucky stars, but still got away with murder there. You got a 4-man hero rotation. Unfortunately, Gunnar popped the DK for him, but again, he's going to use that to sort of farm and keep ahead. And once he is the Black Dragon, he is going to eat a lot more spells, but still, all of these cores, they're working towards big items on the Undying side, and the 6k gold bleed, it is not budging. It is staying around that 6 to 7k gold mark. You're not really going to see 4-Zoomers pull ahead unless they're able to find a more convincing team fight like they were able to pull off a little bit earlier. Because Undying, their lineup is starting to hit their stride. Once you get this BKB on Storm Spirit, you're not going to need to worry about zipping into spears. You're not going to need to worry about those terrorizes. You're just going to be able to solely focus down either this Naga Siren or the supports in the backline. And that's where Husky, with these overgrowths, we've seen him able to pull his team out of the dirt before with them, but he's going to need to be so on point. If he can hold it as long as possible, then he's going to be able to get those 3-4-man abilities, and really just indicative of when we see him play ET. He's always able to find those counter initiations, but Undying, they're fighting. This is the BKB on Storm Spirit. He's uncontested.
Tomato's
Sammy.
Heart, so really they're just not going to be able to lock these down as Sammy, didn't jumped in on. Mortimer Kisses coming through here as well. Damage is meh. I'm not really able to connect onto too much of that, so that's one ult down, but Elder Dragon Form's coming back up on Gunnar, so maybe they look to push back in. At this point, though, both sides realizing Roche is probably getting back up soon. We're 18 seconds away from it, so they want control of the pit, but gotta pause for a DC. No, okay. Not sure what it was, but Brax says they're good to go, so we should be hopping back into it. And, well, I don't know how they really deal with Tomato here. With that heart, he's still not unkillable. Really no such thing at this point, but the amount of resources that they'll have to commit to the PL basically puts them in that scenario we always talk about with these sort of raid boss heroes. You have one of two options. It's either kill him first, throw everything you've got at him, or try to ignore him and take everybody else out first, and I'm not entirely sure how effectively they can do either. So Tomato's going to feel unbelievably strong sort of heading into this fight right now. It's just going to be a matter of whether the rest of the lineup is going to be able to fully back him up.
Oh, and I was going to say, especially if he's able to find an item like the Paladin Sword, so I wonder what the tick-up is going to be on his heart regen after this. Yeah, just gets another 10 HP regen, top it off. Skill-based item farming here. And he's got the shard as well, so again, the mana is going to be an issue on your heroes. If 4-Zoomers extend the fight a little bit too long, if Sammy Boy gets out of that song range, you don't have that safety net. Everything gets a lot closer, a lot more difficult, and all of the focus is on this Roche. If Undying give it up, then this is going to be a very big window for Zoomers, but if Undying are somehow able to take it, then this is going to feel incredibly bad for 4-Zoomers.
Dubu will be taken down first. Tomato sends the illusions in, though, so they're going to burn a little bit of that mana away, but not really enough right now. Saberlight. By the silence. Should be able to just walk it off right now.
He is searching.
Oh, they wanted Brax is in as well. They're going to go for it. They've got the PL. Can they actually bring him down in time, though? Terrorize will be deployed, but that PL not dead yet. He needs that fear to wear off, though. The Doppelganger will come through, but he's still in some trouble there, as he's going to get hit up by the Dragon Tail. He'll be taken down. Meanwhile, okay, Brawl, just going for the sort of clear out there in the middle lane, zipping all the way forward with a TP to take those creeps out of the equation. But now you're going to have to sort of sit here and wait for that PL to come back up. He did not save any money for buyback after getting that heart.
Yeah, and that's the Black Dragon. That's the vision. He has no pathing. He is an actual dragon this time. So he immediately flies over, finds that initiation onto Tomato. And that's something where the breakdown happens. Moon Meander is just slightly too far away. Saberlight gets sort of kited out and brought down in the middle of the river. So really no man's land. And now the Aegis is in the 4-Zoomers' hand. This isn't the end of the world, but this is the lead that you wanted to grab before. Now you've got that shard, you've got that cheese. And if 4-Zoomers can continue to build up these safety nets, it's never going to feel like they're out of the game. But again, with their lineup, they need to kill these heroes. They need to go from those objectives. And I think Moon, we've seen this so many times this game, but this is sort of his role. He needs to continue to push out these lanes. We saw it last time on that Hoodwink, except when he was Hoodwink, he had the scurry. He was a little bit more elusive with this Snapfire. it feels like it's pretty free and something that four zoomers have definitely sort of exploited, as there's really no counterplay on the other side of the map. They're really able to play in sort of two lanes at the same time. And if four zoomers can keep this pressure on, that's when we're going to see the gold lead sort of explode in their favor.
Oh, get the silence down, but Saberlight's in. Crush connects. Sammy Boy. Not a great spot here, but there's that Black Dragon in onto the back line. They're going to be able to jump in onto Moon. Can they get the kill just yet? No, but the Terrorize promotion. Going to commit onto multiple heroes. Meanwhile, Brawl, very low on HP. He just has to fall back. His BKB was wearing off there as well. But Gunner, he's still just wreaking havoc here on this back line. Just doesn't care. He's got the Black Dragon for him. He's got the BKB active. He's got Brax to sort of back him up as they go in with the arena into the spear. Saberlight will be taken down, and all of a sudden, Tomato, he's fighting alone. He has the Manta to remove the silence, but now here comes Brawl back into the fight, going for the Vortex. They're going to pull in Gunner, but there's the song. Sammy's going to bail everybody out, but they might actually want back in. Husky is pushing forward. There's no overgrowth here, but they're still going to go for it. They hit up Ryle, or at least attempt to, and they do got him. Ryle dead, Dubu falling as well. Saberlight's back into the fight, but I don't know if it's really going to be enough at this point as he falls too, and Tomato, he's tanky, but he's just not enough. He's not able to burst through the zeros, and that's it.
Yeah. And it felt like they had their shots. Again, four zoomers were in the driver's seat for pretty much that entire game, but once that Black Dragon came out, they found the 1-2 picks they needed, and Undying were unable to extend that game. And really, just having this Naga Siren, something four zoomers have proven time and time again that they play so well with it. It allows Brax to have that easy initiation. They're able to hold their spells so long, and yet again, you got to bring attention to the supports on four zoomer side. Husky does so well whenever he gets on those 5-position heroes. I hate to see his potential wasted sometimes when he gets put on that Enchantress, because man, oh man, he's always able to have such impactful spell usage. And really, Undying, they ran out of time. Four zoomers were able to keep that pressure up so long, and if they kill Gunner there, maybe they have a shot if they're able to take him down in the Vortex, but they had already committed their BKBs. They had already used everything. Saberlight had sort of an uncharacteristically bad game. Same with Moon Meander. 0, 12, and 4. You were not doing a lot on that Snapfire, and that's something where maybe Undying, they had a very strong lineup. They had that 1 or 2 team fights where Tomato just absolutely carried you, but for Zoomers, they hit that goal, they hit that Roche, they're able to move in with that Black Dragon, and really, that was the only power spike they had. It was just Black Dragon into finding the PL, into kill everybody else, and all of their spell usage on point. There were very few times where they weren't able to hit those 2-3-man arena terrorizes, and while it's a little bit unfortunate, you know, sometimes you do just zip into Spear, for Zoomers, they kept the pressure up the entire time, so we're going to a game 3.
Yeah, first game 3 that we'll be seeing in the entirety of this, of this playoff bracket. So, for Zoomers able to fight back, that's a just massive performance from them in game 2. Exactly the kind of showing that you want to see from this squad after coming up short in that first match. So now, well, we move into a third and final match. The question is, do four Zoomers retain this momentum moving forward? Can they continue to play at this level for that third and final match, or can Undying try to recapture their game 1 form? Obviously, the second match never really saw them in a position of control. They were just sort of trying to extend it as long as they could. They're going to need to maybe build up some earlier and faster momentum in that game 3 if they want to try and take the series. So we'll see. One last match to determine which of these two squads will be the first to lock down their spot in that grand final. So game 3 will be coming up in just a little bit, so stick around and we'll bring you the start of that draft just as quickly as we can.